Welcome to the High Performance Man podcast. I am your host, John Fayocavitz. On this show, I interview successful men who have built impressive careers in businesses, founders, CEOs, senior leaders, and professionals who have operated at a high level for years. We talk about what actually made them successful. The goal is simple: to learn directly from men who have done it, so we can apply those insights into our own careers, businesses, and lives, and continue raising our own standard of performance. The show is sponsored by the Prime Performance Method. The Prime Performance Method is designed specifically for high-performing men who have achieved success in their careers, but feel like their body and energy have taken a hit along the way. We help busy professional men regain strength, lose weight, and feel younger without the long workouts, extreme dieting, and disrupting their demanding schedule. So if you're a high-performing man who wants to feel strong and energized as you are successful, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. On today's show, we have Glen Gould, where he is a professional speaker showing small business leaders how to position their business as the only option at any price. Glen, thank you so much for coming on today. We're excited to have you on and learn about your business.
Well, John, thank you. And I'm really looking forward to being here and learning from you as well.
Well, we're good. That's collaboration. Okay. So you say you're a professional speaker, okay, and it's businesses that you go to. How do you go about getting the businesses that you talk to?
So typically, what my business has been in the speaking world is I'm actually a business owner who builds my business through speaking. And so I not only own a speaking business, but I also, with my family, own a dry cleaning service in South Atlanta. And so I will go and I will speak to groups and I will offer them business advice and things like that. And at the same time, they'll also understand that I'm there to hopefully recruit them as a dry cleaning client. So that's
Right.
part of my speaking business.
Okay.
The other part is that I focus on chambers of commerce and associations or companies who have a vested interest in promoting what I teach to their clientele. If they have a large small business clientele, then they're an ideal client for me.
Awesome. Okay, so my first question is going to be, what's the most important lesson you've learned so far that's helped you become successful in both businesses?
So I tell this story a lot, and it happened in 1986. I was a sales rep for a golf company that had just relaunched in the United States called Slazenger, and
I've heard of that. Yes.
Yeah, I had a huge territory, a lot of windshield time, and my boss, who only lasted 3 weeks before he quit and I took his job, told me that I was basically going to have a choice. I could have a university on wheels and listen to things that would educate me, or I could have bubble gum for my brain and listen to talk radio or music or whatever I might want to. And so I took that seriously and I invested in buying things that I would learn, audio tapes, video, not video at the time, but audio tapes. I was driving between Van Horn and El Paso, and Earl Nightingale was on my tape deck. And he said the 6 words that changed his life, and they're the 6 words that changed mine as well. And that is, we become what we think about. And I don't always follow that, but every time I look up and I go, wow, I'm where I don't belong, I think about what I'd been thinking about. And sure enough, that's how I got there. Whenever I end up somewhere really good, I think, wow, I was thinking about the right things to get me here as well. And so it's been a powerful lesson for me.
That's awesome. And the thing is, you have to have that right mindset and a positive attitude, because if you're thinking all negatives, like you said, if we become what we think about, you're always going to be stuck and spinning your wheels.
Exactly.
Okay. And you put that into practice also in your dry cleaning business?
Absolutely. I mean, and it's little things too. Dry cleaning in our plant, we're here in Georgia, it's warm. Dry cleaning plant is extremely warm. While we have invested in air conditioning spots for each one of our workers, it's hot out there. It's always hot out there. And I talk about how we have to have the mindset of, that why are we here? What are we doing? And what do we want to focus on that takes our mind off of the things that we shouldn't be focusing on? I'm here to accomplish whatever I am. And personally, every one of our employees has a different reason for being here. We try as a company to remember that we believe that everyone that comes in contact with Dry Cleaning Connection, that's the name of our company, should have their lives improved somehow. And so that means that a client or worker, a vendor, whomever, their family members, we all have to have a way to improve somebody's life. And if we focus on what we're doing to improve our lives, it's not quite as hot out there anymore.
Exactly. That's awesome, Glenn. Awesome. My next question, okay, which leads you, what do you think hinders a lot of men from reaching their full potential today?
Wow. That's an awesome question. That's a loaded question. I'm
Go
gonna
ahead.
I'm gonna answer it, but
No.
I believe it's distraction.
Man,
Um, when I was first in business, we didn't have all the other distractions. We either chose a distraction like the radio, or we chose something that moved us forward. But we also, for the most part, everybody that I came in contact with had goals. They had things they wanted to accomplish in life, and they had a reason for doing those things, and they had the belief that they could do those things. I think that with the computer and social media and all of the access to information that has come about, it's a powerful tool, but it can also be a powerful weapon. And I think that so many people have now gotten, I was thinking about this morning, it's really weird. I think the words that have hurt our society the most are, it's not your fault.
exactly.
Because now everything that goes wrong, it's not our fault. But
Yeah.
maybe we're not at fault, but we got to be responsible. We've got to at least be responsible. And so I think that distraction is the thing that's hurt us the most.
Yeah. And what I look at and what I always say to the people on the podcast, those people looking for the shiny object, okay, like you mentioned, you have goals and you should have set goals, and that's what you should be thinking about. And but we see that distraction over to that next social media post or that next email or that next thing. Oh, I could do it better. Okay, I can do it cheaper. I can do it whatever. And we pivot off of that. We go for a couple months or whatever it is, and we got nowhere.
Exactly.
Okay, instead of staying on the course that you're going to do and try to eliminate those distractions as much as we possibly can.
Agreed. Tony Robbins, not Tony Robbins, I'm sorry. It was Dennis Waitley had this saying. He said, are you engaged in things that are goal achieving or stress relieving? And then he would say that the achievement of goals is actually stress relieving if you focus on it that way. But so many of us now, the moment there's a bit of stress, we look for that way to release it. And,
Yes.
And then the next thing you know, 2 hours later, you're still scrolling Facebook.
Yep, trying to find that shiny thing that's gonna that they promise. And like you said, there's so many things out there that are just false, and so many things that they can't back up what they claim. You know what I mean?
Without a doubt.
And you have to do the research, and that's what you take accountability for yourself and do the research on things that you want to achieve.
Couldn't agree more.
Great. Okay. My next question. For most men on the road to business or professional success, Glenn, other areas of their life get sacrificed. What's been one of the areas of your life that has suffered, if there has been? But where would you like to be successful now too? So it's a two-part question there. What during the course, okay, you 1986, is that when you started out on your own? After how many years did you work with the Schlesinger?
All right, so I worked for Schlesinger for I guess it was 3 years, 4 years. And that seems to be my number, 4 years. So I'd always had some sort of entrepreneurial, bend. When I was a child, I was 7, 8 years old, and I would go to the big store that my dad was a store manager of, buy candy, and then I'd go back to the apartment complex and sell it to the kids who were in the neighborhood. So I always had that in me. And so I did work I was a golf pro for a number of years, working for different people there. But when Schlesinger came along, it was actually an independent contractor agreement. And I learned the power of having access to the responsibility for everything. And not only the success but also the failure, and how to pay the bills and how to run a business and how to all of those things during that period of time. And since then, I've had a number of different businesses. I've started 12, a couple of them actually worked. And so I did start in 86 kind of on my own, but I've gone back and forth working for other people a couple of times. And I think that if you are somebody like me, you eventually realize that you're unemployable. You can do a good job for anybody for a while, but eventually you just you got to have more control. And I think that's been the thing there.
If you're wired that way.
Exactly. So you asked what's something that suffered.
Right.
Yeah, in 2015, I was working for a Chamber of Commerce. I quit. I started running, and I've struggled with weight all my life. Just kind of one of those things that I grew up with. And so I started running with my son, and in 2016, we ran 4 marathons that year.
Wow. That's
And then
tremendous.
couple of years over the next couple of years, we ran another two marathons a year. In 2018, our dry cleaning business had a shift in the way we were doing things, and we built this plant, and that is everything has been sacrificed for that. My weight, I'm still pretty darn healthy. I walk with my son in the morning most days. Don't run as much anymore, but the focus on family. We're still a pretty close family, but we don't travel as much as we used to. And you tell yourself this story that I'm going to do this for a while so that I can have that later. And I think that that's a good lesson in discipline, but I think it's a bad lesson in lifestyle. And so I think that we have to take those moments, even as we're sacrificing, and stop just for a minute and go, okay, we're not going to go that far. We're going to draw the line right here. And if we can't be successful with the line drawn right here, then do we really want to be?
Right.
And so that's kind of been the lesson that I've learned over the past 6-7 years, and trying to refocus and get back to the things that matter. Because you'll wake up one day and realize you've done all of these things, and you thought that they were going to lead somewhere, and they do, but they just lead to the next thing you have to do.
You're right. So that would be the part that you'd want to be more successful now, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Doing that. Okay. Great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I tell you, that's also a great accomplishment to run marathons, man.
Well, thank you.
I mean,
I'm going to somehow or another run one again before this decade's out, because I've run one in every decade since the 90s. And so I want to keep the streak going somehow, some way.
So you got 4 more years.
That's right. And I can easily get that done.
Okay. That's awesome. Because I know that's probably, in my opinion, being in the field of what I am, I think that's the hardest thing there is. Okay. Running a marathon. I mean, 26 miles that's
well, as they say, if you can run 6, you can run 26.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know if that's actually true, but that's what I've always been told. That's what I tell others.
Well, and it's also takes time to train. Okay. Like you said, you got the 4 years, and you don't want to go and do it all in 1 year either.
Right.
Okay. Because that's where injuries start to happen.
Exactly.
So, my next question. Okay. Where do you find yourself at peace, Glenn?
Wow. That's a great question too. It's funny, but a lot of times I find myself at peace here at my business when we're not operating. That's an odd thing to say, but I do find peace here. I will say I'm a man of faith, and I try to find a time every day to be at peace with the Lord. Don't always succeed at that either, but I do find comfort in knowing that there's something bigger going on here. Mm-hmm. And that my job is to acknowledge that, and to praise that, and to be grateful in the things that I do have, and the things that I've been blessed to avoid. that I
Right.
don't even know about, right? So
Right.
I find peace in that. I find peace in my family most of the time, just like anybody else. We have
Yes.
our challenges, but yeah. So those
Yeah.
are the things.
When I asked that question, trust me, you would think people would say, I find it meditating to go to yoga or whatever. And I've gotten answers like you would not, I mean, what yours is again, it's not like you sit there and meditate. It's where you found peace is in your office.
Yeah,
Okay.
true.
I've had people that say, and you think, he goes, you think this would be weird and backwards, but I find it in conflict. Okay. Because when I solve conflict, I'm at peace.
Well, I can understand that. I'm somewhat of a firefighting arsonist. I'm at my best when it's a crisis. And
Right.
so I can understand that thought process. Absolutely.
That's great. Okay. Well, which leads me into my next question. Do you have some sort of a routine? Okay. You have to non-negotiables every day.
Wow, that's another great question. Being a former golf pro, one of the things that you teach is that you have to have a pre-shot routine that you go through every single time so that you get yourself centered and you get yourself ready to go. Whether we believe it or not, everyone has a routine. The question is it a purposeful routine or is it a routine that we've fallen into, which is kind of like a rut? And over
Right.
the past years, I do have a routine. I do wake up in the mornings, most mornings, and walk with my son. I do have a routine. I have some negative routines. I tend to check my bank account and my email way too early in the morning. I have a routine of being here at this building way too often. I haven't released some of the things that I should to the team. And so I'm working on that. But we all have routines. I would say the only thing that really I have that's a positive routine is that morning ritual of getting up, walking with my son, having the opportunity to have, we used to have this thing and we still do it some, but not as much as we did. We would have what we called coffee time every single morning. The four of us would wake up and we'd have coffee and talk
Right.
about what's going to happen during the day. We still do it some, but not as much as we used to.
Well, consciously, you know what you have to work on now, right? That's what you want.
Exactly.
You want to change some of those negative routines into a positive one.
Absolutely.
Great. Awesome. Okay. My last question, Glenn, is this. If you were to give that one piece of advice to other men that are starting out on their journey of achieving success, okay, what would that be?
Probably and I've already said what the thing that changed my life, we become what we think about. But I think what I would tell men who are starting out is that, entrepreneurship or work in general is a gift that you have the opportunity to not only serve others, but to grow yourself. And so you ought to think about what do you want to give, not what necessarily what do you want to get. I have found in my life that if I focus on what I'm, the what, the how, I know the old saying, how a good why overcomes any how. But I've also found that sometimes our whys are so unbelievable to ourselves that we lose focus on the what and just what am I going to do today? How am I going to serve today? We as a society have become a society of takers. And I think that if we were to go back and focus on giving, and I'm not talking about giving money, although that helps. I'm not talking about giving your time, although that helps. I'm talking about giving somebody the gift of a nice clean suit that they can wear to either church or their funeral or to propose to somebody. Giving the gift of a smile to somebody who's opening the door for you and saying thank you. Giving just focus on more. What do I have to give? I think you'll find that doors will open and you'll find
Oh,
yourself feeling more fulfilled.
right. And I'm also a faith person too. And I think in the Bible, it even says, right, if you give, it comes back tenfold.
That's true. Yep.
I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. Okay. I mean, just like you said, the simple things. Okay. I mean,
One of the Bible verses, and I'm going to paraphrase because I don't know exactly what
mhm,
it says. I don't know which one it is, But one of my favorites is where it says that being kind to your enemy is like heaping hot coals on their head. Yeah, every once in a while, I like to think that. No,
Right,
I know it's a terrible thing, but the truth is that it's there for a reason. I mean, even in kindness, some people just can't accept it. And I think that we've allowed that side of our lives to become a little more. Everyone loves a negative comment. They first thing you do is go to read all the negative comments on Google. Come on. I mean, there's 427 nice comments and 4 from crazy people who didn't like
right,
that.
right. Well, one of the things that I've done, you're talking about negative things. I've almost eliminated 90% of my apps. You know what I mean? It's like, because I just don't want to hear the negative parts of what's going on.
Right. I
So
I taught forever. I've been doing the speaking thing now for 30 years. And one of the things I used to teach is turn off the news. And I haven't watched the news in forever, but turn off the news. If anything really important happens, you'll know about it.
oh, you'll know.
Unfortunately, you'll know about a lot of things that don't matter too, because people
Yeah,
talk.
yeah.
But I had just an unbelievable experience this week. My brother called me yesterday asking me what I thought about the fight at the White House, and
Oh,
I had no idea. I had no idea that something had happened. And oddly enough, I was able to guess what it was because the world's that crazy now. And so
yeah,
anyway, I think that, you're right. The negative influence, the apps, the so many things that distract us. We'll go back to what we said in the beginning.
right.
It's
Yep,
just distraction. And we need to become focused on what's important.
yep. And being in the backyard of the White House, we've heard it's impossible not to hear anything coming out of there.
Sure.
Okay, about the fight that happened. You know what I mean? And it's just it's never ending. I mean, the National Guard thing. You know what I mean? It's just it's hard up here.
Oh, I'd bet being where you are, it's really challenging.
It's hard not to get
Down
the
here,
news.
down here in the South, we can kind of wander off into the woods and nobody knows it.
Yeah,
But but up there, it's hard to hide. I'm sure it is.
it is very hard. Well, Glenn, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be on and offering your insights to us and our audience. Okay. The things that made you successful. Okay. That's why I developed this podcast, is for people like myself, because I'm starting new in this area. And I'm learning so much. And I want to thank you for helping me.
Well,
Okay.
John, I want to thank you not only for having me on, but for the work you're doing. And it's no secret. Okay, men are taboo.
Yeah.
It's no secret, and we men need each other, just like women
Yep.
need each other, and men and women need each other, but men really need each other. And the work that you're doing to step out there and to say that you're going to do something that helps men, and you're going to lean on successful men to do that. Congratulate you and thank you for the service you're providing.
Thank you. And my next thing that I'm going to do when you mention this is somewhere that probably in July sometime, because I'm going to start a group. Okay. I'm going to get all the podcasters that I had, and I'm going to send things out and try to develop a group that we can meet once a month or something.
That would be awesome.
You know what I mean? So
I'd
we
be
could
happy
just
to
share.
participate and help. Absolutely.
Well, great. Okay. And that's what we're going to hope to do there, and share all the, anything that we can share. Okay. It doesn't have to
Sounds
be about
marvelous.
business. Does not have to be about business. Okay. It could be about life struggles, life, whatever we need to do. Okay.
Sounds awesome.
Okay. And as a reminder to everyone listening, this show is brought to you by the Prime Performance Method, where I help high performing men rebuild strength, energy, and confidence without sacrificing their careers. So if you're ready to feel strong in your body as you are successful in your business, message me, John Fayocavitz, on LinkedIn. Until our next episode, perform strong in all areas of your life.